Good afternoon, grade 12s, and welcome back after the holidays and after the exams. I really hope that it did go well with you during the exams. Remember that we only did companies last term. So basically we are done with companies now, and all the schools received the new program, and that's why I'm going to do the stock valuation methods today. What I'm going to start with is a little bit revision on grade 11. So I'm going to quickly show you the difference between the perpetual system and the periodic system. And after that, I'm going to show you the two stock valuation methods that we use in the school syllabus. And then I think after the break, I'm going to do one or two activities to show you how to do this. This is one of the easy parts of accounting in grade 12. So if you just concentrate, practice every activity that you must practice and make sure that you understand, then this is really not difficult. I'm going to start with the perpetual system or the continuous inventory system like you know it. The advantages of this one is that the stock figures are updated on a continuous basis. Stock shortages are detected quickly and easily. Cost price is known at the time of the sale, and trading stock deficit or surplus, of course, deficit or surplus, let me put it in there, can be calculated at year end after stock taking. The perpetual system is the one that you know from the day that you start with accounting or that you start with EMS in grade 7 maybe a little bit, or in grade 8. So the perpetual system is the one that we know. And then you will remember in grade 9 you start with the trading stock. First it was the service enterprise, and then you start with your trading enterprise. At the moment that you've got your trading stock, then you basically work with your perpetual system. And I think the biggest advantage is that you know the cost price, and because you know the cost price, you are going to show that your trading stock go out of the business at cost price, and then you can calculate your trading stock deficit or surplus. I've got a few transactions here. And I'm going to show you how to do these transactions. There's a balance on the first day of the month in the trading stock account. They say it's the end of the previous month, and we are going to put it in on the first of this month. And I am going to put it in on the 1st of January 2012. This is only a predicted date, so it's not something specifically. So we've got 2012 there. We remember, sorry, that is exactly the wrong paper. This is the one that I need. Trading stock, the perpetual system. And there is my trading stock, sorry. And remember that trading stock is a plus minus. And this is an asset for the business. Okay, I'm going to start with 2012, January the 1st. And I'm put the balance in there because they mentioned that the balance was 20,000 Rand. And that is brought down. Now there's a few transactions. In every journal there's a transaction that we are going to put in our trading stock account. In the CPJ, stock purchased for cash. Of course, this is the end of the month, and then you put in their bank because we've got more stock, we've got less money in the bank, 50,000 Rand. This is our trading stock. Stock purchased and paid from petty cash. So we also bought a little amount of stock from our petty cash, PCJ, and that is 200 Rand. 200 Rand there. We purchased stock on credit, so that is the CJ. So there we put creditors control. We put creditors control there. We put the CJ there, and we put 80,000 there. So you can see that our stock become more the whole time. In the DAJ, there's stock returned by credit customers at cost. Stock returned by credit customers at cost. So that means, let me quickly do the DJ first. We sold stock on credit, and then the debtors are not happy, so they return stock, and that, of course, is going to make our trading stock more, and the contra account is debtors. No, cost of sales. Why? Cost of sales. DAJ, and why? Because the cost price of the stock that the debtor returned is 1,000 rand. Okay, we sold stock in the CRJ. When you sold stock, it's on the debit side of the bank. It's on the debit side of the bank, and it's on the credit side of sales. With that amount of, they don't give us the selling price. With the selling price, for example, the selling price is 40,000. So that means that we've got 40,000 more in the bank, and we've got 40,000 more sales. But that didn't influence, the selling price didn't influence your trading stock, but the cost price do. So the moment that we sold stock for cash, then we must take the cost into consideration, and that you put on the credit side of trading stock. Why? Because your trading stock become more every time that you sold stock. And this is cost of sales, because cost of sales is the contra account. It is the CRJ. It is the CRJ, and that gives you 30,000 rand. Then we also sold on credit, and we also take the cost into consideration. And the moment that you sold on credit, you take it out of your trading stock, cost of sales, DJ, and the cost price is 45,000 rand. Stock return to supplies, that is the stock that we bought on credit and we're not happy with it. So that is creditors control, CAJ, and that gives us 1,400 that we returned to our creditors. Sundry transactions pertaining to stock. There was a donation there. We donated stock. We donated stock with a value of 500 rand. And there was also drawings. So that means that the owner withdrawn a stock to the value of 10,000 rand. And if you look at this trading stock account, you will see that every transaction or every journal is in this trading stock account. On the plus side, when we bought stock, and we pay for it. When we bought stock and we pay from the petty cash. When we bought stock on credit. When we're not happy with that stock, we send it back. CAJ. When we sold stock, you show this cost price here for cash. When you sold on credit, when the debtors are not happy and they send back. And then when we donated some stock to the old age home or the school or whatsoever, or when the owner withdraw stock, and all of them influence your trading stock. So what are we going to do now? We are going to balance this. So we are going to say 20,000 on the debit side, plus the 50,000 on the debit side, plus the 200, plus the 80,000 that we bought for on credit, plus the 1,000 rand, gives us 151,200 on the debit side, 151,200. We put the 151,200 there. And we subtract the 30,000, we subtract the 45, the 1,400, the 500, and the 10,000. So that means that we've got a balance of 64,300 at the end of the year. Balance carried down. That was January the 31st. So this is February the 1st. Balance brought down. balance drawdown 64,300, 64,300. And now what's going to happen now? Now there's going to be a physical stock taking. And the moment that they do a physical stock taking, then you are going to compare this amount with your physical stock taking to see if there's a trading stock deficit or a trading stock surplus. There's a physical stock taking. And that's why the perpetual system is a very good system to have, because you can see if there's something wrong, if there's something stolen, or if you've got more in the storeroom than in the books whatsoever. Now, at the end of the year, we've got a trading account. That is the end of the year. Okay, on this side, we are going to put sales. That is 2,000. Okay, end of the year is end of February, 28th of February. On this side, we are going to put cost of sales. And then we've got our profit and loss. Okay. Just want to quickly read there. The trading stock account started with a balance of 20,000. This is the amount unsold in the previous month, which is brought forward to January, the current month. Okay, you've got the 20,000 there. The trading stock account ends with a balance of 64,300 at the end of January. This is the amount of trading stock unsold at the end of January and is carried forward to February the next month. Then we've got a trading account there. We've got a trading account there before we start with the periodic system. Okay, in the trading account, we're going to put sales in there, and sales will be, okay, I think this is only predicted figures because we put 300,000 in there. That is our sales, that is GJ. And then our cost of sales was 250,000. And that gives us a profit and loss of 50,000 Rand, which is our gross profit. This is our gross profit for the year. So this is your gross profit, and that you're going to take to your profit and loss account, and then in your profit and loss account you are going to put the gross profit there, you're going to add the income, and then you subtract the expenses, and then you've got your net profit. That is your profit and loss account. Okay, so this was the perpetual system where we show that everything happens there. Now I'm going to the periodic system. Okay, what is the difference between the two? Basically, if you've got a set profit markup, if you bought something, and you add a 40% profit markup, which give you your selling price, and you basically trade in one certain things, or certain thing that is like clothes, maybe clothes, or cars, or shoes, but you trade basically in one thing. Then you can do this. So then you use the perpetual system, because remember, what is very important about the perpetual system. Every time that we sold, every time that you sold, you need to take out that specific, the sales, you need to take out of your trading stock account at cost price. And because of the 40% profit markup, you know what is the cost price. And the moment that the debtor sent back, you must take it back into trading stock at cost, as long as you can see that everything in this account is at cost. Everything in this trading stock account is at cost. Okay, so that's why you use the perpetual system when you've got a business that sell basically the same type of thing with a fixed profit markup. But the moment that you have a cafe on the corner, or more specifically maybe Pick n Pay or ShopRite or whatsoever, and you sold a lot of different things. We sold a lot of different things. I'm going to take like an example there. In Pick n Pay, you can sell you can sell a TV set. You can sell a broom there. You can sell some cutlery there. And nowadays you can also sell a bread or a tomato. Can you see what happened here? There's not a set profit markup. There's no set profit markup, because on those two, which are necessities, you cannot add 40% profit. So now you've got, in this case, you've got different profit percentages on different items. So that means whenever we sold, you cannot work out the cost price by the press of a button. Because in this perpetual system, if your selling price, I'm in Woolworths with and I'm busy buying clothes, and I'm busy buying clothes, and the total amount when I came to the till was, for example, I'm just going to make up an amount. Say that was 1,300 Rand. That is the selling price. By the press of a button. What is this? What is this? We are busy working out the cost price of that 1,300 Rand. So 1,300 times 100 divided by 140. 1,300 was the selling price, times 100 divided by 140 gives you 928 Rand 57 cents. So the cost price of that sales is 928.57. And what are you going to do with that cost price? You are going to put it in your, this is not cost price, this is cost of sales. What is the difference? Cost price is when you buy something and you pay for it, then you pay cost price. Cost of sales is the moment that you sell something and you calculate the cost price of the things that you sold, then you say it is cost of sales. That means it's the cost price of something that's already sold. Can you see, by the press of a button or by the press of your calculator's buttons, you can work out the cost of sales of that specific transaction. But in the periodic system, you cannot do that because you've got different profit markups. On the TV set, maybe, on the TV set, you can ask your, like in this case, you can ask like a 40%. Sorry, this one don't want to write anymore. You can still add your 40% there. On the brew, maybe you are going only to add 25%, I don't know. But on these two things, you're only going to add 6%. Can you see the different profit markups? So if you come in front and the selling price of your trolley, your sales is 1,300 Rand, you cannot work out the cost of sales by the press of a button because of different profit markups. Sold a lot of different things at different profit. Oh, I already said it, percentages. And that is the perpetual system. Okay, what we've got here is that we say that the cost price is not known at the time of the sale. Therefore, no entry can be made in the stock account. Are you with me? So because we don't know, that is the selling price. I pay my 1,300 Rand, but they cannot work out the cost price straight away. So no entry can be made in the stock account. You cannot take something out of the trading stock account because you don't know the cost price. Nor can the balance of stock be determined. The purchases account, that is a new one. The purchases account, which is a new account, reflects purchases of stock only. This account reflects the cost price of stock coming in to the business, not going out. Stock coming in into the business. So I'm going to do the purchases account now. Let's see how the purchases account works. It's also a plus minus. It's also a plus minus, and I've got 2012 there, and they say that the total of the purchases account at the end of the previous year, that means on the 1st of January, was 30,000 Rand. Was 30,000 Rand. And now we bought stock for cash. We are not going to touch the trading stock account at all. We are going to put everything in the purchases account. So the purchases account is in the periodic system, in the place of the trading stock account. So your trading stock, we didn't put this in the trading stock account. And remember, there's no cost of sales. There is a trading stock account. There is a trading stock account, but there's no cost of sales. Stock purchase for cash, 31st of January, bank CPJ, because we bought for it, we CPJ, bank CPJ, and that gives you 45,000 Rand. Stock purchase on credit. Stock purchase on credit, and we bought from our creditors, so we put the creditors control, CJ, and that gives us 62,300. 62,300. We bought, and we pay from petty cash, so that one is petty cash. And that gives us petty cash journal. Petty cash journal, and that gives us 200 Rand. Stock returned to suppliers because we're not happy. So we return to the suppliers. That is creditors control, 2012, January the 31st. Creditors control. CAJ, 3,500. Stock donated, 1,000 Rand, donation. And stock taken by the owner is drawings. Can you see what happened here? We've got the purchases account. We've got the purchases account. And we show everything that come in. and we show everything that goes out, but we do not show sales. Why can't we show the sales? Because we haven't got the cost price. 30,000 plus 45,000 plus 62,300 plus 200 rand gives you 137,500. 137,500. And if I put the 137,500 there, minus 3,500, minus 1,000, minus 1,800, gives us a 131,200. But this one we don't balance. This one we don't balance. We take it to the trading account. Straight away to the trading account. If you can quickly revise the trading account of the perpetual system, looks like this. There was only sales, cost of sales, and remember with that sales, we already subtracted debtors allowances. We already subtracted debtors allowances, and we show the cost of sales on the debit side, and we show the profit and loss. Trading account, we've got a trading account. Now I'm going to show you how the trading account look in the periodic system. Totally different from those in the perpetual system. Okay, what have we got? They're going to give us it's the end of the year, 2012, February 28. They're going to give us opening stock. That is your trading stock on the first day of the year. That is going to be your opening stock. We are going to bought stock. We are going to show carriage on purchases. We are going to show custom duty or anything else that it costs you money to bring the stock to your premises. On that side, we are going to show the sales and minus the debtors allowances, of course. And there's also a closing stock. There's also a closing stock. That means in your trading stock account, this one, it's going to look like this. Let me show you your trading stock. Remember I said that we're not going to use the trading stock. Trading stock is going to look like this. Balance on the first of the year, 75,000 rand. Then you don't touch it for the rest of the year. The trading stock just leave there. And the moment they do, this was according to a physical stock taking, and the moment that they do another physical stock taking at the end of the year, then you take the 75,000 and you take it to opening stock. You take it to opening stock and you close it off. And then, of course, you've got a small opening stock account where you put the 75,000 on the debit side from the trading stock. And then you take that 75,000 to the trading account. And that's where the 75,000 comes from for your opening stock, given to you. And now the count they do, and remember that was according to a physical stock taking. At the end of the year, they're also going to do a physical stock taking, and that will be 52,000. You put it there, they count 52,000, you call it closing stock, and the closing stock for this year is the opening stock for next year. You've got the closing stock there. You put the 52,000 in there from your trading stock account, and then you take it to the trading account for 52,000. So you basically close it off, and then you've got 52,000 Rand for closing stock. So the trading stock account you open with a balance. That balance is your opening stock. Later, or not later, end of the year, you're going to take it to your trading account, and then the 52,000 is the closing stock at the end of the year. You will remember that the sales was 300,000 Rand there, and we've got the purchases from there, 131,200. Purchases comes from there. That purchases there, trading account, purchases go there. Carriage on purchases was given to you, and that is 12,000 Rand. Custom duties was 5,000 Rand, and now we had to work out our profit and loss. So you take the credit side, that gives you 300,000 plus 52, gives you 352,000 Rand. And then you take the 352,000 Rand and you minus 75, and you minus 131,200, and you minus the 12, and you minus the 5,000, and your answer is 128,800, which is your gross profit. Which is your gross profit. Okay, now they're going to ask you, especially in the stock valuation methods, to calculate cost of sales. If you can quickly go back, I'm going to show you cost of sales. Where is cost of sales in the trading account? There is cost of sales. What is outside cost of sales? Sales and profit and loss. Sales on the credit side, profit and loss on the debit side. So I'm going to make a block, but I'm going to leave out profit and loss, and I'm going to leave out the sales. And there's my cost of sales. There's my cost of sales. So when you calculate cost of sales, it's opening stock plus purchases plus carriage on purchases plus custom duties minus closing stock, and that will equals to cost of sales. That will equals to cost of sales. That's enough on the stock, the two different perpetual and systems, the perpetual and the periodic system, and I hope that you understand that. Now we can start with the stock valuation methods. Okay, I just want to quickly show you this. There we calculate the cost of sales. The one that I just showed you there, let me quickly do that. It's the opening stock of 75. Do it with me with your calculator. There's the 75. Oh, sorry, there you are. It's the 75,000 plus the 131,200. Plus the 12,000 of carriage, plus the 5,000 of custom duties, minus the closing stock of 52,000, and that gives you 171,200. So the cost of sales in this case was 171,200. 171,200, and we calculated ourselves. Remember, in the perpetual system, you can see the balance according to the books and the balance according to the storeroom, so you can work out trading stock deficit or surplus. But in the periodic system, for stock losses, I'm going to read you this. Under the perpetual system, stock losses are easily identified as stock movements are recorded continuously throughout the year. Perpetual system, remember perpetual system, as stock movements are recorded continuously through the year. A comparison of the physical count with the trading stock account reveals the amount of loss or surplus. Under the periodic system, a stock count has to be undertaken at year end in order to determine the value of stock on hand. This system does not record stock movement on a continuous basis. A comparison of the target markup with the achieved markup has to be made. This is what you're going to do. You're also going to do a stock count at year end, and then you can work out the value of the stock in the business, and then a comparison of the target markup with the achieved markup has to be made. So we target, we want 50%, but it's only 48%, then you can see there's a few losses there. The difference between the two provides an estimation of possible stock shortages. So that means that we want to maintain a profit markup of 50%, or we try to sell it and the one that we achieved is 48%. So that means that it's less than the target one. The calculation below is only possible with a constant markup percentage when a constant markup percentage is used throughout the year. I'm not going to do that example. The thing that you must know is that when you want to see if there's shortages in the periodic system, then it means that you must do a stock count, and then you must compare the target markup with the achieved one. Stock valuation methods. Stock valuation methods. Okay, there's three. There's three of them, but we only do 2 in the school syllabus. In businesses dealing with items that are large, for example, cars and furniture, the cost of each item is easily ascertained, like we said in the perpetual system. When stock consists of several similar items, the cost price of each item becomes difficult to ascertain, like the one that I show you there, with game, because it's not the same thing the whole time, and it also can be different profit markups. This is the periodic system. This applies particularly to present day conditions where prices are rising continually. It very rarely occurs that a dealer can obtain his stock at the same price throughout the year. If you buy beds, of course the amount that you're going to pay on the first of the year is going to be less than the amount that you pay halfway through the year or the end of the year. There are several methods to assigning cost to stock. The 2 methods that we need to study are FIFO, first in, first out, and the weighted average method, and there's also LIFO. But in the school syllabus, we are going to do FIFO and the weighted average method. FIFO means first in, first out. Goods bought first are the first to be issued for sale. So that means that you are basically going to sell the old stock first. If somebody wants the new stock, then you sell it. But the thing is that you are going to take it out of your system, out of your business, at the old price. Because if you've got 500 and you bought 250 at a specific price and 250 at another price, then first in, first out means that whatever you sold first, you must take out of the business at the first price. Weighted average method is a little bit more tricky. This method does not take quantities into account, but average price. Does not take quantities into account, but average price. With the receipt of goods, the average cost of each item is recalculated or calculated at the end of the financial year. A trader can decide to use any one method. So if you are in business, or if you think you're going to start a business, you can decide which one you're going to use. Idly by the method chosen should be used consistently throughout the existence of the business. So which one you choose doesn't matter as long as you stick to that method. Changing from one method to another will produce unrealistic financial results. Gross profit, net profit, and stock figures in the balance sheet may be over or understated. Any manipulation of stock methods will lead to manipulation of profit. Manipulation of stock methods will lead to the manipulation of profit. So don't think that you want to impress the bank because you want to borrow money, and now you see that if you use the FIFO method, it gives you a higher profit than the weighted average method, and then you just change from methods, then you're busy manipulating your profit. The Companies Act required full disclosure of the method being used. The disclosure is shown as a note to the addendum to the an addendum to the financial statements. During their perusal of the books, auditors may be in a position to detect any manipulation of stock methods. So you cannot jump around with your methods because this year this one is bigger than that than the other one, or last year this is bigger than the other one. Okay, there's the information. There's your information. We've got stock on hand at the beginning of the year, 20 chairs at 110 Rand each. We bought 120 chairs and we sold 50 chairs in May, and that is our selling price. We bought 80 chairs at 140 Rand each in June, and you can see there the price was 110 Rand. That was the stock that we've got on hand. Then we pay 120 Rand for a chair. And then we pay 140 Rand for a chair. And then in September we paid 150 Rand for a chair. And they asked us what was the stock on hand. So can you see that the price differed the whole time? It fluctuated the whole time. What they want us to work out is to calculate the stock on hand at the year end. So what you're going to do is the following. You're going to say, and now you only work with this. You say 20 chairs plus 120. On your calculator quickly. Minus 50 plus 80 minus 50 plus 40 chairs minus 68. That will show us the stock, how many chairs we've got left. How many chairs we've got left. So we start with 20. We started with 20 plus 120 minus 50. And then in June we bought another 80. And then in July we sold another 50. In September, we bought another 40. In November, we sold another 68. So the chairs that we've got on hand is basically this calculation. 20 plus 120. Minus 50 plus 80 minus 50 plus 40 that we bought minus 68 gives us 92 what? Chairs on hand. This is the easy part. You see how many chairs we've got on hand. Now, they want us to calculate the value of the chairs that we've got on hand. Because if you take that 92 chairs and you calculate the value of that 92 chairs, then you've got closing stock. Where's opening stock? Where's your opening stock? Is the 20 chairs times the 110 rand at the beginning of the year. 20 chairs at 110 rand, that was your opening stock, 2,200. 2,200. So we calculate chairs on hand, that was 92. And we had to work out the value of that 92 chairs because that's going to give us the closing stock. And then I just ask you, what was your opening stock? It was the 20 chairs times the 110 rand that we've got on hand. And that is our opening stock, and there's our closing stock. I think we can quickly work out the total purchases. The purchases. Okay, I've got it there, but I'm going to stick to those that I highlighted. I think the purchases that we've got, okay, we concentrate on January. We bought 120 times 120 rand. Plus. Then we bought again in June, 80 times 140 rand. Then we bought again in September, 40 times 150 rand. And that is our total purchases. That is our total purchases. 120 times 120 gives us 14,400. 80 chairs times 140 rand gives us 11,200. 40 chairs times 140 rand gives us 6,000 rand. 40 times 150, 6,000 plus 11,200 plus 14,400 gives us purchases of 3,1,600. Purchases of 3,1,600. What is our sales? Can you see we can work out all of this in the information that we've got? In May we sold 50 shares, chairs times 200 rand. We sold in July 50 times 220. And we sold in November 68 times 250. That gives us 50 times 200 gives us 10,000 rand. Plus the 50 times 220 gives us 11,000 rand. Plus the 68 times 250 gives us 17,000, and that gives us plus the 11,000 plus the 10,000 gives us 38,000 rand for sales. Oh, sorry, there you are. Okay. We are going to take a 5-minute break, or let's make it a 10-minute break. I'm going to see you again in 10 minutes. And I just want you, I'm going to leave this on the table, only this, so that you can just concentrate on whatever we talk about, that we work out the chairs on hand. Okay, I cannot show you everything. Maybe I can just do this. We work out the chairs on hand was 92. That is the chairs on hand. We're still looking for the value of that 92 shares. We're still looking for the value because that equals to the closing stock. We've got the opening stock. There's the opening stock. There's the purchases. And we've got the sales of 38,000. So we've got a lot of things, but after the 10 minutes break, we can talk again. Thank you. Thank you, grade 12. If you can quickly sit down so that we can quickly finish what we're busy doing. We've got the, we are still, we only have the sales. We've got the opening stock. We've got the purchases, and we are looking for the closing stock. We are looking for the value of the closing stock. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another piece of paper, and then I'm going to show you what we are going to do. Okay. We bought 20 chairs. No, we've got 20 chairs in stock on the first day of the year. Okay, and then we bought 120 and we sold. Okay. The value of the closing stock, is the one that we are going to work out according to either FIFO or the weighted average, and I'm going to use the FIFO now. First in, first out. So that means that whatever I bought first, I sold as quickly as possible. Okay, so I bought 20. No, we didn't bought 20. Sorry, let me just get my things. Okay, here, value of closing stock. We've got 20 on hand, and we bought another 120. We already did this. We bought another 120, and then we sold 50. So we sold, of that 140, we sold 50. Are you with me? Okay. Then we bought another 80, that equals to 90. Then we bought another 80. Then we've got 170 and we sold 50. Then we've got 120. Then we bought another 40. Then we've got 160, of which we sold 68. And 160 minus 68 gives us the 92 that we've got on hand. What is the value of that 92? The value of that 92 is that you start at the bottom. The question is, so stock on hand at year end is 92. That answer there, that question mark there, is 92, was it chairs? Chairs on hand. The next question is, what is the value of that 92 chairs that you've got on hand? So the last 50 chairs that we bought, the last one that we bought was in September. And we bought 40 chairs at 150 Rand. Have we still have got that 40 chairs? Yes. Because the 92 chairs that we've got is the newest ones that we bought. Because first in, first out means sold old ones first. That is the meaning of that. So we bought 40 and we've got that 40. In June, we bought 80. Have we got all that 80 chairs? No, we don't have it. Okay, we haven't. Okay, let me show you from the beginning. Did we sold that 20 chairs? Yes. The moment that we sold this 50, we sold that 20 and 30 of those. Okay. We sold 170 chairs there. No. We sold 50. So of the 120, I don't want to make it difficult for you. Of the 120 minus 30, we've got left 90. So when we sold that 50, we sold there and then we've got left 40. And then we sold 68. We only sold 3 times. We sold 50 and then we sold another 50 and then we sold 68. So we sold that 40, so there's nothing left there. Are you with me? So the first 50 that we sold was the 20 plus 30 there, so there was 90 left. Then we sold 50, so we sold 50 of that 90 old one, so we've got 40 left. Then we sold 68. We sold all those 40, and then of the new ones that we bought, we sold 28. So that gives you 80 minus 28 gives you 52. And this 40 we don't sell. Can you see the 92 there? Can you see the 92 there? This is the tricky way to work it out, but you must understand that we sold the first ones first. Okay, I'm going to try once, only once. We've got 20, then we sold 50. Then we bought, no. We bought 120. Then we've got 140. And we sold 50. That gives us 140 minus 50 gives us the 90. Then we bought another 80. But we sold 50. So 90 plus 80 minus 50 gives us 120. Then we sold 68. We bought another 40. And that gives us the 92. We sold that 20. And we sold that 120 as well, because we sold 50 plus 50 plus 68. That gives you 168. So that 20 there and that 120 there we sold. So 168 minus the 120, the 140 old ones gives you 28 that we also sold, and that 28 was of that 80 that we bought there. So if you only sold 28, what is left? 80 minus 28, that gives you the 52, and then also the new ones, that's also left, plus the 40. Okay, but we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is this. You don't work from the top. Can you see the calculations from the top? You don't work from the top. You work from the bottom. What was the last one that we bought? What was the last time that we bought? That was in September, and we bought 40. That was in September, and we bought 40. How many is left? 92. Did we sell that 40? No. We didn't sell this 40. This 40. So we've got 40 times 150 rand, and that gives you 40 times 150 rand, and that gives you 6,000 rand. Okay, but we don't only have 40, we've got 92. So 92 minus 40 gives you 52. So from the second last one that we bought, we bought in June 80 chairs. We bought 80 chairs, but there's only 52 of them left, because 80 minus the 28 that we sold gives us the 52 left. So we bought 80, but there's only 52 of them left, times the amount that we bought it for, 140 rand, and that gives you 52 times 140 rand, that gives you 7280 plus the 6,000 rand, and that is the value of your closing stock. There's the value of the closing stock. What is important? Don't worry about that calculation there. It's only to show you that we sold the old ones first. What is important? It's important to calculate that you've got 92 chairs on hand. Then you forget about all these calculations, because the easiest way to do this is to start at the bottom. What was the last ones that we bought? We've got 92 chairs on hand. The last one that we bought was the 40 there. We don't sell the 40 because we've got 92 on hand. So we show that we've got those 40 chairs, all of them at the 150 rand. The next one is 80 chairs, but we haven't got all of those 80 chairs because we only have 92 on hand. So 92 minus the 40 there gives you 52. So those 52 you calculate at the 140 rand, which was the price that you bought for in June. So the value of your closing stock is 13280. The value of the closing stock is 13280. I'm going to show you the calculation there, and I just want you to concentrate on that. There it is. The stock that you bought last was the 40 at 150 rand. The stock you bought second last was 80. But because there's only 92 chairs left, it is the 40 that we didn't sell of the last ones that we bought, plus 52 of this 80. So 52 times the 140 rand that we paid, and there is our total value of the closing stock according to the FIFO method. The total value of the closing stock according to the FIFO method. But now we've got the weighted average method. Okay, sorry, I'm not done. And now we are going to do this. Back to the basics. Back to the basics. We need all the information that we've got, and they ask us to do a trading stock account. No, a trading account. Not a trading stock account, a trading account. According to the periodic system. We've got sales there, and we've got opening stock. We've got closing stock. I hope that you concentrate. We've got sales on the credit side. We've got closing stock on the credit side. We've got opening stock on the debit side. We've got purchases. We've got carriage on purchases. And we've got profit and loss. Okay. The opening stock was the 220 times the 110 rand. Let me quickly show you. There's your opening stock. 20 chairs times 110 rand. That gives us 2,200 rand. 2,200 rand. That was opening stock. Purchases was the one that we calculated there. There's our total purchases. 31,600. 31,600. 31,600. There's our sales. Remember, we calculate the sales as 38,000 rand. There was no carriage, and we just calculated the closing stock as 13280. 13280. And what can you do? You can close off your trading account. You can close off your trading account. 38,000 on the credit side for sales, plus 13280 for closing stock equals to 51280. 51280 on this side minus the 2,200 minus the 31,600 equals 17480. 17480, which is your gross profit. Next question. What is your cost of sales? What is your cost of sales? Your cost of sales is everything except the profit and loss and the sales. So let's do it again. There you go. There you go. There you go. And there you go. There's your cost of sales. There's your cost of sales. 2,200 plus 31,600 minus 13280, and that gives us plus 31,600 minus 13280, and that gives us 20520. So with a little bit of information, only this details, we calculated. I'm going to make a summary of everything that we calculated. We first calculate the stock on hand. We first calculate the chairs on hand, which was 92. We calculate the chairs on hand, which was 92. Then we calculate the purchases, the total purchases, which was that 31,600. Then we calculated the sales, which was 38,000. And you will remember everything happens on this page. Everything happens on this page. We calculate the chairs on hand, but we don't know the value. Then, we calculate the opening stock. We calculate the purchases, and we calculate the sales. So we also calculate the opening stock. And that was 2,200 rand. And up till there, it's going to stay the same. And now we are going to do the FIFO method and the weighted average. And in these two methods, everything from here on is going to change. In the FIFO method, the value of the closing stock was that one there. $132.80. Concentrate. The 40 that we bought last, we didn't touch. The 80 that we bought second last. The 80 that we bought second last. We sold 28 of them. There was 52 left. At that specific price of 140, 13280. 13280. After that, we calculate we did the trading account. We did the trading account, so we calculate the gross profit, which was 17480. And then number 7, we calculate the cost of sales, which was 20520. And this is the FIFO method. And now I'm going to show you the weighted average method. I'm going to show you the weighted average method for the same information. Okay, let's see. We are done there with everything. So we start with the weighted average method. Remember, this method does not take quantities into account, but average price. Remember average price. That's very important that you remember that. And then with the receipt of goods, the average cost of each item is recalculated or calculated at the end of the financial year. Calculate the value of the closing stock according to the weighted average method. So we are going to use the same information, but we are going to use to calculate the value of the closing stock. Can you see what I show you there? There's still 92 chairs on hand. The purchases stay the same. The sales is exactly the same and the opening stock is exactly the same. But the moment that we start with a value of the closing stock, then there's a split, there's two ways, there's two methods. The one is the FIFO and the other one is the weighted average method. That's why we are going to start there. What you're going to do, you are going to do a calculation on the following. Average price. You're going to work out your average price first by doing the following. You put the opening stock plus the purchases in value on top, opening stock plus purchases, and there we talk about the value of that. And then divide it by opening stock plus purchases, but now we talk about quantities. Okay, let's do that. Let's quickly go back to our column there. And there's our column. Okay. Opening stock, remember we talk about value first. The opening stock was 2,200 Rand. And the purchases was 31,600. That is money divided by. The opening stock was 20 chairs. And the purchases was 120 plus 80 that we bought plus the 40 that we bought. No. 120 plus 80 plus 40, and that equals to 240. I want you to concentrate on this. This is money and this is quantity. So that means that the opening stock was worth of 2,200 Rand, but it was only 20 chairs. The purchases was worth of 31,600, but it's only 240 chairs that we bought. Okay, 2,200 plus 31,600. This is your formula. That is what you're going to use. Equals to 33,800 Rand. 33,800 Rand divided by 260. Divided by 260. And that gives you an average price of 130 Rand. What are we busy doing? We are busy working out the average price for the weighted average. And then what are you going to do with that 130 Rand? You times it by the 92 chairs that you've got on hand. Because we are looking for the value of the closing stock according to the weighted average method, which is 130 Rand average times the 92 chairs, and that gives you 11960. Can you see the difference? Can you see the difference between the value of the closing stock according to FIFO and the value of the closing stock according to the weighted average method, because it's two methods. So that equals to 11960 there. What am I going to do now? I'm going to do the trading account again. The sales didn't change. The sales is still 38,000 rand. The opening stock didn't change. The opening stock is still 2,200. The purchases didn't change. The purchases is still 31,600. But the closing stock, the value of the closing stock is 11960. That changed from the FIFO method. So that equals to 38,000 plus 11960 gives you 49960. 49960 minus 2,200 minus 31,600 equals to 16160, which is your gross profit. Can you see? What was the next thing that we had to calculate? The gross profit, number 7, was 16160, and it changed because of the value of the closing stock that changed, and that I show you in the trading account. What is the next question? What is your next question? The next question is, what is your cost of sales? Cost of sales. 2,200 plus 31,600 minus 11960, and that gives you 21840. That was number 6. This is number 7, 21840, and there is your weighted average method. I want you to concentrate on this piece of paper. The same information, with the same information, we calculate the shares on hand, we calculated the purchases, the sales, and the opening stock with this information, and only this information. And the moment that we start calculating, they're going to tell us, now you're going to work in the FIFO method, and now you're going to work in the weighted average method. And the main thing to calculate is basically your value of the closing stock. Because the moment that you've got the value of your closing stock, that is going to influence the gross profit, like I show you in the trading account, and that is going to influence your cost of sales. Your cost of sales. And what are they going to, at the end of the day, they are going to look at this. That's what I mentioned previously. If you are in the FIFO method and your gross profit is higher than the weighted average method, that's fine. But if you are in the weighted average method and your gross profit is higher, you cannot change to the FIFO method. You must stick to your method, because in the next year or the year after that, it's going to change again. But I want you to understand what this stock methods are. It is about information that stays the same until the moment that you work out the value of your closing stock. The moment that you work out your value of the closing stock, you use two different methods, and that's why it differs from there to there. I've got a question paper here. I've got a, it was June 2012, it's question 2, and I'm going to try and see if we can quickly sort this out. I want, if you've got a piece of paper with you, please use it. You can try to work with me. Let's see what we can do. Okay, this was question 2, and this was June 2012. So I only want you to concentrate and see if you remember something. You are provided with information in respect of Master Soccer Balls shop for the year ended the 29th of February 2012. The business is owned by John Moriri. Okay. The business uses the perpetual inventory system and the FIFO method of valuing stock. So the perpetual system, this is the one that we, it means that we sold big things with a fixed profit markup, and the FIFO method of valuing stock. Explain the meaning of the term FIFO. It's first in, first out. The selling price of the soccer balls was kept constant throughout the year. Calculate the selling price per soccer ball. So that is the first thing that we are going to do. 2.1.2. 2.1.2 is the selling price per soccer ball. 2.1.2 is the selling price. Okay, let's quickly see where's the information. Just want to do this. I want to show you the information. Let's quickly close that one. Let's close that one. And then we only have that one there. The selling price, we need the information and we can go there. Oh, there's a lot of information there. Okay. Oh, there it is. Can you see how easy this is? They show you the sales from the 1st of March 2011 until the 29th of February 2012. And the sales in total was 110,250, and we sold 1050 soccer balls. And remember, they mentioned that the selling price of soccer balls was kept constant throughout the year. So you've got all the information there, and we just say that the total sales was 110,250, and we sold 1050 balls, and that gives us a selling price of 105 Rand per ball. Okay, that is the selling price that we've got there. 2.1.3, the owner is aware that some soccer balls were stolen. 2.1.3, they ask us, he's aware of the fact that some soccer balls were stolen from the storeroom. No entry has been made. Calculate the number of balls that are missing. The number of balls that are missing. Okay, the easiest way to do this is to take whatever you've got and add whatever you bought, and then you compare it to your closing stock. Okay. Opening stock, we only work with the balls, was 375. Plus the purchases, we bought 1240. 1240, that gives you 375 plus 1240. That gives us 1615. Okay. We sold minus 1050. No. We've got on hand 550. That is on hand. And we sold 1050. So that means that of the 1615, 550 is still in the business. We didn't sell it yet. And 1050 was sold. And there is your 15 balls missing. You can also do this. You can say, I've got 1615. 550 of them is still on hand. So 1615 minus 550 gives me 1065 supposed to be sold. But it's not sold. Minus 1050 sold, and that gives you the 15 again. There's your missing balls. Opening stock plus whatever you purchase, then you minus the stock that you've got on hand, how many balls, and you minus the amount of balls that you sold, and your answer is 15 balls missing. The next question is, what are you going to debit and what are you going to credit? What entry would you make in the books to record this? You are going to remember they are in the perpetual system. And because they are in the perpetual system, you can debit trading stock deficit. Because we are in the perpetual system. And what is the value of that 15 balls? Times 105 rand. That gives us 15 balls. No, not times the selling price. Sorry. Not times the selling price. Let's quickly go to our information there. In April. This is important. In April. So you go back there and you see that basically that gives you a unit price of 60 rand. In April, because we bought in May, which is after April. So that times 60 rand. So it's 15 balls stolen. The cost price of the balls is 60 rand, and that gives you the value of the balls that's stolen, gives you 900 rand. So you debit the deficit with 900 rand, and you basically credit trading stock with 900 rand. 2.1.4. Calculate the value of the stock at the year end according to the FIFO method. And now I want you to concentrate and do it with me. Okay, FIFO, 2.1.4, FIFO method. This is the FIFO method. Where's our information? We've got on hand 550 balls. The question is, what is the value of that 550 balls? You start with the last one. In December, we purchased 240 balls, which we've got, because we've got for 550, we didn't touch the 240, times 80 rand, which gives us 19,200. The second last time that we bought, we bought 600. But we cannot put 600 there. You cannot put 600 there because you haven't got 840 balls left. You have got left 550 balls, 550, of which 240 was bought in December. So of the balls that we bought in October, how many balls is left that we bought in October? Of the 600, there's 310 left, because those two amounts together must be 550. And we bought that soccer balls at 60 rand. So 310 times 60 rand gives you 18,600, and there is the value of your opening stock according to the FIFO method. There's the value of your opening stock according to the FIFO method. This one is the last one that we bought. This is second last, but remember that one and that one together must give you the 550 that you've got there. The next question is 2.1.5. Calculate the cost of sales and the gross profit. Cost of sales and the gross profit for the year. Although it's the perpetual system, you can use the periodic system because you haven't got any other system to do the cost of sales. What was the one that they asked us first to do? The cost of sales. Okay, what you're going to do with the cost of sales, you are going to say, think about this. Opening stock, purchases, minus closing stock. Opening stock, what is your opening stock? 22,500 plus purchases, 83,200 minus closing stock, which is the 37,800 that we just worked out. And that gives us a cost of sales of 22,500 plus 83,200 minus 37,800. And that gives us 67,900. Gross profit. What is gross profit? Remember, I'm busy doing it without the trading account. Sales minus cost of sales. And the sales was given to us 110,250. The cost of sales we just calculated as 67,900. So the gross profit is 110,250 minus 67,900 gives you 4 because of the stolen ones. Remember, of the purchases that we bought, there was 900 stolen, the value of the purchases. So it's the 22,500 plus the purchases of 83,200 minus the ones that was stolen because we haven't got it anymore, minus the 37,800 gives you 7,000 rand for your cost of sales. So 67,000 rand for your cost of sales, subtracted from your sales, gives you 43,250. So what is the lesson out of this? What is the lesson out of this? You must concentrate the whole time. There was 15 missing balls. We purchased the balls, we calculate the value of the missing balls, and we must subtract it there. The next thing that they ask us there is, John is not sure when to place this, his next order of soccer balls. How long can he expect the closing stock to last? Provide figures or a calculation to support your answer. It's basically that you take your sales, of 1050 and you divided it by 12. Okay? You take the sales, the amount of soccer balls sold, and you divided it by 12. So you can see that 1050 divided by 12 gives you 87,5 balls. Okay, we haven't got a 0.5 soccer ball. So that is how many balls you sell per month. That is how many balls you sell per month. And we've got 550. So now you say, okay, I've got 550 divided by 88 balls per month. 550 divided by 88. So that gives you 6,25 months. So if you remember, it's not that it's going to be exactly the same next year. But at the moment, you've got enough balls to this is your average per month. This was average per month. So if you stick to the average of selling 88 balls per month, then you have enough balls on hand for 5 months. What advice will you offer John about this purchase of stock? Maybe he purchased too much at a time. If you look at especially October, 600, and if you keep in mind that you only sell 88 balls per month, that's 600 divided by 88. So he basically bought in 1 month, on the 25th of October, he bought enough balls to keep us on the going for 6,8 months. So I think one of the points will be purchase smaller quantities. And also the other thing is you can wait for the balls to become less, because there's nothing going to happen with the balls. So you can have a lot of quantities, but it's not necessary. So you can wait until you've got 100 in your storeroom, and then you can say, okay, I've got 100 now, I think it's time to order again. They didn't ask it in this question, but what they can do there, the moment that they are done with all the calculations, they can ask you, okay, but what if John was in the weighted average method? Are you with me? So I've got 10 minutes left. We are going to do the same calculations in the weighted average method. Remember, we've got 550 balls on hand. In the weighted average method, there is a formula. What is that formula? It's your opening stock plus your purchases minus the ones that was stolen. Can you see what happened now? You must keep that stolen in mind. Divided by opening stock plus purchases minus the stolen ones in quantities. Okay, let's see what we've got. The opening stock, I've got my information here. The opening stock was worth 22,500 in money. We add the purchases of 83,200 in money, and we subtract the 900 that was stolen in money. Now we go to the quantities. It was 375 plus we bought 1240, and there was 15 missing. That gives you 22,500 plus 83,200 minus the 900 rand gives you 104,800. What are we busy doing, grade 12? So we are busy working out an average price. 375 plus the 1240 that we bought minus the 15 gives us 1,600, and that gives us an average price of 104,800 divided by 1,600. That is 65 rand 50 cents times the 550 balls that we've got on hand. Times 550, that gives us 36025. What are we going to do with that information? We are going to do exactly what we did in the FIFO method. We are going to calculate the cost of sales. We are going to calculate the cost of sales. Cost of sales equals to opening stock plus purchases minus stolen minus closing stock, and that gives you your cost of sales. Opening stock 22,500. Purchases 83,200. Stolen 900 in brackets. Closing stock 36025. 22,500 plus 83,200 minus the 900 minus the 36025 equals to 68,775. What are we going to do now? Exactly what we did for the FIFO method. We are going to calculate our gross profit. Gross profit equals to sales minus cost of sales. You'll remember that the sales was given to us, and the sales was 110,250. 110,250 minus the 68,775 gives us 41,475, which in this case, if you keep the other gross profit in mind, it was 43,250. So in this case, the gross profit according to the FIFO method was higher than the gross profit according to the weighted average method. But that is not what it's all about. It's about the fact that you must be able to do them both. And I'm back at this. I'm back at this one. This one was also, the FIFO was also higher than the weighted average. Okay? It doesn't matter, are we busy with chairs? Are we busy with soccer balls? We have chairs on hand, 92. They told us that we've got 550 balls on hand. We calculate the 92 ourselves. We've got the purchases from both of them. We've got the sales. We've got the opening stock. And then there's two methods. FIFO, where you start with the last one that you bought, and then you go to the second last one, and you've got your 92 chairs. What is the value of that 92 chairs? You ask yourself, what is the value of that 550 balls? The value of the 550 balls is 240 of them at 80 Rand and 310 of them at 60 Rand. And the moment that you've got the value according to the FIFO method, then that will influence your gross profit and that will influence your cost of sales, because you calculate your cost of sales according to the closing stock, and then you work out your gross profit. Or you calculate the gross profit in your trading account, and then you calculate the cost of sales. In the weighted average method, there's a formula. That formula is opening stock plus purchases minus whatever was stolen in value divided by opening stock quantity, the quantity that we purchased, the quantity that was stolen, and that gives you a weighted average price, an average price of 65.50 Rand. And what are you going to do with that average price? You times it by the 550 balls that we've got on hand, and that gives you a new value for the closing stock, and that will influence your cost of sales, and that will influence your gross profit. Grade 12, thank you very much. I hope that you understand. Just practice, 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 because if you don't practice accounting, you cannot do it. If you get confused, ask your teacher, but remember the rules. Remember how to work out the value of the closing stock, how to work out the value according to the FIFO method and the weighted average method, and just remember what we are busy doing. We are busy calculating values of closing stock, gross profit, and cost of sales according to two methods. All of the best. I will see you next week, and I really hope that you understand. Thank you very much.